Welcome, my beautiful YouTubers. Here we are bringing another video today, talking about spirituality, psychotherapy, healing, and bringing it all together, working on the mind, the body, and the soul. My name is Victoria Bedford. I am a spiritual teacher. I'm an alchemist. I am an energy healer. I am somebody who works with people on their journey through healing and awakening, using psychotherapy, using loads of different academic knowledge in the healing industry, but also lots of spiritual knowledge, chakras, energy, vibration, and all that jazz, combining all of it. And I love to bring videos of awareness to you guys outside of my therapy sessions, outside of the sessions that I work with people, because I really believe that knowledge is power. And to a degree, when we sit and we listen to knowledge, we are raising a part of our consciousness to look at things differently. The truth is, you don't know what you know until you know it. And if you have come by this video, then you are clearly investing in learning things about yourself. You wouldn't be drawn to my energy or this video if something in you wasn't wanting or aligned to something higher. I went through an awakening about 10 years ago, but have been going through this journey for about 14 years and have learned so much along it. And today I'm going to be talking about 3 reasons why you now suddenly see people's behaviours that you didn't see before. And that's actually quite distressing, is it? I don't know about you, but for me, when I started to recognise people's behaviours, it kind of scared me a little bit, because as I was awakening and as I was growing, I was starting to see things that I didn't want to see. I was starting to recognise things in people that I didn't want to recognise, that was truly hindering my life and truly hindering the connection that I had with them. Because for one, I was so consumed in what I was seeing. For two, I was then isolating myself because I was consumed with what I was seeing and I couldn't make sense of it. And to a degree, I didn't want to see it. So I tried to pretend that I couldn't see it. The awakening journey is a very sneaky little thing in the fact that it's actually quite freaking painful, in the sense that it truly breaks down aspects of yourself to make you look at yourself and look at life and look at people in a deeper way. 3 reasons that I found that I was being shown the behaviours in others was: 1, that I was needing to recognise that behaviour in somebody else was actually within me, and I was needing to learn to start healing it. So let's talk about number 1, which is called projection. When we are healing, we project a lot of our wounding out onto others, because there is a part of us that cannot sit with the knowledge that we actually have this wounding. And this is an element of shadow work, where we are so disconnected from the parts of ourselves that we don't like, the parts of ourselves that we've been shamed into believing are too much, parts of ourselves that for whatever reason we've had to put in our shadow, we now start to see it in others. And I'm going to give you some examples. When we see in others the fact that they've always got to have their say on things, this can present itself in 2 ways. Either you're projecting because you've always got to have your say on things and you didn't realise it, and there's a part of you that needs to heal the fact that you've always got to have your say on things, or it's in your shadow that you don't speak up enough. There's 2 elements to it, 2 parts of the shadow it can go in: the part that you're either doing it or the part that you're suppressing it and you need to learn it. So the part that you need to actually learn to speak up more, now you get irritated by everyone who speaks up. And in part, that's because 1, you would wish that you could have the courage to speak up a little bit more and say how you feel, because you've been made to believe that it's brash or wrong to actually say how you feel, and you should be somebody that suppresses that. You could see in somebody else that they are never on time and they let you down all the time. My friend's always letting me down, always cancelling, always late. And this really upsets you and you feel like your friend's letting you down. But then when you sit with it, you realise, actually, God, I'm a little bit more flaky than I thought. So sometimes I have to cancel, and actually quite often maybe I'm late because I've got things going on. And then when you realise, or it could sit in the other part of your shadow where you're like, I'm so scared of letting people down that I turn up for everything, even if I need a day off. I'm so scared of being late that now I'm so rigid with my time that I am so exhausted because I'm so scared of letting people down. Do you see how it can slip into two parts of the shadow? It can slip into the part where you actually do it yourself, or it slips into the part where you don't do it, but you're needing to learn to be a little bit more flexible. Another one is people who dress flamboyantly. Oh, they shouldn't dress like that. Why do they dress like that? It's really garish. It could be that maybe you dress in a way, you don't have to dress flamboyantly, but maybe you dress in a way that you feel people have shamed and guilted you for. Maybe you dress a bit more conservative and people have shamed you for that. So now you've got the judgment that people shouldn't dress a certain way. Or maybe there's a part of you that is actually calling to be a bit more flamboyant with your clothes, but you're too scared. Maybe you don't like your body type. Maybe you don't feel like you're worthy of buying yourself new clothes. When we're looking at number one in the fact that what you hugely see in another that's affecting you to some degree is either in your shadow because it needs to be faced because it was what you do, or it's in your shadow because there's a part of it that needs to be integrated into your life. It could be another one where you hate humble people who sit on the fence and they never have a say, and you're like, oh my God, just have a say. And the truth is, maybe it's because you always sit on the fence too and are scared to have a say. Or it could be that you never sit on the fence and you've always got to be so dominating without realising it. When we understand that, when we look at the first one and say, is it a projection? It can really help you heal, because it can really help you sit with learning about yourself in a way that you would have never have once learned about yourself. In the Jahara's window, there is a part of the window that is something that you cannot see about yourself. It is something that you cannot see about yourself, and to a degree other people can't see about you, but is there. And when we start to understand those parts that we can't see about ourselves, we can sit with them. So number two is you are needing to protect yourself from this. So the behaviour that somebody else is doing, you are needing to protect yourself from it, because without realising it's been hurting you. So what that means is you are now suddenly seeing the behaviour of another because you are waking up to the fact, without waking up to the fact, because you're exploring it, that this behaviour has been hurting me. So somebody who's always been quite rude to you, somebody who's quite dismissive to you, somebody who shuts you down quite a lot or gaslights you, somebody who makes jokes of things. These things are something that you've accepted for a long time, but now suddenly you're getting irritated by them and you just don't know why. It's because they're affecting you. Because every time somebody shuts you down, every time somebody invalidates you, that is hurting you, because it's denying a part of you that has a need. Every human has the need to be heard and validated and supported. And in our healing journey, part of that need is we have to learn to validate and support and help ourselves, so that we don't rely on it from other people who can't give it to us. But we also do need to surround ourselves with people to a degree who are respectful, who do not shut us down, who do not invalidate us. And you can't learn to hold that person accountable for their behaviour if you don't know that that behaviour is going on. So the number two is you've got to learn to see that behaviour, because actually it's affecting you. And if you don't face that behaviour in that other person, in that relationship and connection, your connection is either going to become fraught with frustration, resentment, anger, sadness, or it's going to be shutting down, pulling away and disconnecting. Number three's reason is it's going to affect you at some point if it isn't already affecting you. You've got to protect yourself. So a bit like number two, you've got to protect yourself. But number three is, this is going to happen. This is warning you. This is a warning. This person who is talking about these other people are talking about you behind your back. This person who's got a problem with every different person at different point is going to have you in the firing line at some point. I'm sure so many people have had instances where they've noticed somebody who's always got a problem with somebody. And if it's not one person, suddenly as soon as that person is out of the picture, there is another person that's in the picture, and it's like hang on a minute, surely you must be the common denominator, that every single person you connect yourself to and get close to, you suddenly end up having problems with, and it's always their fault. They're either narcissists or they're bullies or they're rude. This is probably telling you, when you're witnessing this behaviour, that actually you're going to be in the firing line at some point. If you don't pick up the fact that this person pulls people in and chews them up and spits them out, or this person doesn't take responsibility for their actions and they actually want to vilify other people, this is going to happen to you at some point. That if you don't look at number one, is this within me? Number two, how am I going to protect my energy? But number three, if you are constantly surrounding yourself with people who are turning on people at different points, 1 minute someone's flavour of the month and then everything's, fantastic. And then the next minute they're out and somebody else's flavour of the month. There's warning signs going on. Or, this person talks about people behind their back, but would never talk about you behind the back. This is a warning sign. And number three is saying, look, there is a warning sign. You're being called to look at this behaviour, because there is a warning sign to the fact that this behaviour may come and bite you in the ass at some point. Learning to understand people's behaviours is actually vital, because it's actually, in a healing journey, important to learn to understand people's behaviours so that you can have compassion for them and not have huge judgment. But do have a little bit of judgment to a degree, because you need to make the judgment of, is this person healthy around me? You have to take responsibility for the role that you play in this situation. Am I normalising things and not calling things out that actually I'm just not okay with? And actually I'm a part of the problem because I'm allowing this person to normalise this, but I don't think it's healthy. Remember, what's normal does not equal healthy. What part am I playing? Am I appeasing all of the time and not saying how I really feel and not calling anything out because I want to always be viewed as the good person? There's a role that you've got to understand that you're playing so that you remove yourself. And half the time that's why we're viewing the behaviours, because there's a role that you're playing that's not helping your life. If you're surrounded by people who want to always pull others down or have poor behaviour, that is going to impact you. That vibration, like attracts like. So to some point you've got to ask yourself, why am I attracted to this? What part is this fulfilling in me? Do I feel loved to a degree but is toxic? Do I feel connected to something that's but just unhealthy? It's not about displacing your feelings just so that you can look at the other person and say, well, actually, I've got to protect myself from them, save myself. Remember, number one, you've got to see what connection there is. Most of us on our healing journey are actually healing so that we can learn to take responsibility for who we are. So instead of us blaming everyone else and saying, two of the same things exist at once. There's a level of accountability to others, but there's a level of accountability to self. Accountability to self. In every scenario, in every situation, sadly, no matter, and look, most situations, I'm not talking like DV and things where I'm saying anyone deserved it. But even after myself being in a DV relationship for a long time, I had to ask myself when I finally got free, what role was I playing in that? Why did I attract that person? Why did I stay in the relationship? Why did I normalize that unhealthy behavior? Where did it come from? Because you can't heal unless you understand why you was drawn to something, why you normalized something, why you accepted it. If you just always think that it's the other person's fault, now, the other person being abusive is their fault. But if you just put all of the blame out their door with no accountability, you are just going to jump from situation to situation where you're always going to say, oh, I just don't know why I'm attracted to these people. I don't know why. There must be something in me. It's, you'll go into victim mode of it's not me, it's them. And I just don't know why. Maybe I'm meant to save them. Maybe I'm just too good of a person. No, there's lots of other things going on. Maybe you grew up in an environment where this behaviour was normalised. Maybe you have low self-esteem. Maybe you, but taking accountability doesn't mean that you're not a victim. It just means that you have to take accountability enough to go, okay, how am I going to heal it? The healing journey is a very messy but amazing thing. I remember in my healing journey, and I've been doing it now for a very long time, 14 years, and I remember having so many periods of absolute pain, sadness, crying, screaming, and anger, and now being in a place of peace, connection. And this does not mean that my life is perfect, but it does mean that I have overcome, faced, and healed so many of my childhood wounds, so much of my abuse, so much of my pain. And I've broken so many cycles. And I've also healed the abuse that I was dishing out at the hands of my pain. And I love to teach everybody as much as I can with the knowledge that I have and the things that I've learned, because it doesn't mean my life is perfect. It means I have the tools, the awareness, and the connection to self to navigate life in such almost a peaceful way. Even when life doesn't feel peaceful, it's peaceful because I'm in acceptance, I don't suffer, and I flow and I face things. And I never could do that once upon a time. Once upon a time, I was suffering, angry, irritable, emotionally reactive. So if you are ever interested in working with me or wanting to work, you can find my website, which will be linked below. I am on TikTok and I am on Facebook, and I do many different readings, Akashic Records readings, healing sessions, therapy sessions, to really help people go through, I want to say an up-leveling in their life, but go through an alchemizing change where you really disconnect and leave old versions of self that were never who you were, and really lean into authenticity and connection. Thank you for listening. Do follow, do like if you are drawn to me for more videos on helping you heal. Take care.